That's the first point. The second point is China has declared again and again and again that if the United States want to manhandle this free trade issue, China is prepared to fight to the very end. Now, the question is, what is the very end? What are the possibilities of the very end? Let me really think aloud for the benefit of your audience. I think, according to the Chinese interpretation, one of the end will be the two-way trade between China and the United States grinding to a complete halt. That means there will be no more Chinese exports to the United States, and there will be no more US export to China. Now, does China want to see this happen? Absolutely not. It's against China's own interest. But allow me to emphasize, China has another higher interest. That is free trade. China will never allow any country, no matter how powerful that country is, to really throw a huge wedge into free trade as if it can dictate terms to the rest of the world by holding a gun at China's head or any other country's head. That means the end will be a complete halt and termination of two-way traffic. Now, the United States probably says, well, I want to boycott Chinese exports to the United States or some of the Chinese export to the United States while continuing to have a free walk of American exports to China. That will be completely pipe dream. If it comes to a halt, it will be halting the two-way traffic at whatever economic cost to China, because China will believe that is the only right thing to do, and no country in the world should be allowed or permitted to fight and destroy free trade.
Victor, even as we cast our eyes at the upcoming U.S.-China trade talks this weekend, the U.S. itself is in the midst of negotiating with at least a dozen economies. I'm just wondering, what's the take from China, given that there is a sense that the U.S. is likely to gather its trading partners and try to isolate China, especially on the issue of chips?
First of all, allow me to mention one point from the depth of my heart. For China, with its size, with its strength, with its deliverability, and with its 5,000 years of history, when we hear about any country or any groups of countries talking about isolating China, do you know what's the response? We chuckle, because from my perspective, it's a mission impossible. You dare to isolate China? You're talking about kind of isolating the world in a sense. China is the largest trading partner with more than 140 nations in the world. And you want to isolate China? You want to really break up all these economic relations? It's a fantasy. Never try that, because otherwise you'll end up in great failure. Now, on the other hand, yes, we know that the United States is talking with many countries, but for the United States to launch this unprecedented, largest scale tariff war or trade war, it's like holding a gun at every country's head and say, kneel down and talk to me on my terms and don't strike me back. Now, every country faces different circumstances. Many countries, it will not be surprising, will need to give in to the pressure of the United States. But you ask them in the bottom of their heart, in the depth of the night, whether they like to have a gun pointed at their head. I can assure you, based on all my education, all my judgment, all my sanity, all my wisdom, no country likes to have a gun pointed at their head to negotiate with the United States. Therefore, I hope I can tell President Trump and people around him, don't struggle against free trade. Follow the principle of free trade. And the United States seems to be a standard bearer of free trade for many decades. Now, the standard falls into the hands of China, and China wants to be the champion and the standard bearer of free trade. This is the difference we are talking about.